I prefer a lot of awkward silences during podcasting. So
Do you?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not good. Then I'm gonna need to be better at the awkward silences because I'm.
What do you do with silences in therapy?
It really depends.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm probably more comfortable. I think I'm more comfortable with silences in therapy than I am like conversationally.
And real life.
Yeah, like in real life. Like,
yeah, same.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm probably too comfortable with silence in therapy.
Yeah.
I should probably lean away from it a little.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty. It doesn't bother me. I remember, like, it used to. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Yeah, it's a pressure to do something.
Yeah, because I thought, like you think that you have to do.
Yeah, I know with over-intellectualizers, it can be a very useful tool.
Yeah.
Because in that silence, they're not performing and they're not like creating this schematic ideology to defend from their vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
So often that silence can be pretty disarming.
I like the moments where it's like you like watch like the silence bubble pop. Like,
what do you mean?
Like when you can see it starting to get to somebody, like in session, you can see it's like starting to get to them, and then you know that whatever they're going to say, like when you know it's not necessarily like something huge or significant, but you know it's going to be something that like they are nervous to say that they haven't been. Like, you can just kind of see it on their face.
Yeah, well, you're a couples therapist, and there's some new news out. Did you see the CEO that got caught?
Oh my God, I did. Yes, I did.
I was like, wow, that's perfect timing. It happened like a day or two ago.
Did you see the? So I'm on Instagram. I've started following a lot of like political related content, and there's one creator on there who's very, very funny. It's like political comedy. Her name is Mermaid Mama Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
She like made a very timely video, and she took the audio clip from the guy getting caught, which is like Chris Martin is playing like the song like a sky full of stars, I see you, which is like, oh, like I see you, I'm in love with you. So he's singing that song, and that's the song that is like the background to the kiss cam, which like catches them. And so Maggie takes that like clip, which is Chris Martin singing, and then saying something like, oh, like look at these two, they're either having an affair or they're just really shy. And she has like but this is I don't know where you stand, but we could just have a laugh at it. Instead, for her video, she has a picture of Trump standing next to Epstein.
Oh yeah.
To that like track.
What list? The list never existed.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you like try to stay away from political content with your do you have a stance on that for your podcast or?
Not really. I mean, I don't like pontificate one way or the other.
Yeah.
I try to be as central as possible in my own life. I mean, I definitely didn't vote for Trump.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But yeah, I saw the guy, he wrote some apology kind of, and the first part was actually, it was
okay.
like, oh, okay, the PR guy, someone in PR like read through this. Then the last part, I'm like, man, did you have to say that? Like, he kind of victimized himself for being a spectacle publicly. I'm like, okay, if you're cheating on someone, like, don't go to a fucking concert. Especially when you're a CEO of like a multi-million-dollar company. Like, what? That sounds so crazy.
Is And I was looking into it a little bit, but I didn't get this far down the rabbit hole. But like, is Astronomer somehow related to Coldplay?
No, I don't think so. It was like they got sweet packages for their company,
Okay.
and they weren't. And he was like holding her. It's just very bizarre.
Well,
I mean,
did you read the end part where he like? I think maybe it was supposed to be kind of backhanded because he does this like little blaming thing, artist making private moment a public spectacle. And then he says at the end, he says, a friend once said, and he quotes a lyric from a Coldplay song. So he's referencing Chris Martin as
yeah.
his friend at the end of this. And Chris Martin is the one who like called him out publicly. I'm like, is that a backhanded, like an underhanded thing where you're basically now letting Chris Martin know, like, fuck you, like you're not my friend anymore, like a friend.
It's also, it's weird when you should when putting a public apology out, you should never quote a lyric.
It's like
you should never do that. It's never a good idea.
It's like in high school, one of my English teachers loved it if you quoted some quote, like in your very first like intro, whatever paragraph. It was so stupid. I did it
I hate
because I
that.
wanted to get an A and it fucking worked. But like reading his little quote of the Coldplay like song lyric reminds me of that, like my English teacher that you had to quote something at the beginning of your like essay to legitimize what you were going to write, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't cheat on my partners, but I can definitely say if I was, I would not take them to a big concert and sit in a box and be all over them. That's especially when I'm married. I just can't imagine all of that. That's pretty wild stuff. What is your take on like his possible characterization? I mean, obviously there's arrogance and power and privilege, but how do you get to that space where you have like a family and then you're just like out in the open all over someone? It seems kind of bizarre to me.
I think some people just lose, like, I think they lose sight of
like what they're doing.
Like, yeah, like I don't really know, but I think it's kind of like maybe there's some sort of character flaws to begin with. And we all have them,
Yeah.
right? And maybe these people have like it worse off. Maybe there's something there maybe to begin with. And then, I mean, I give a lot of credit to like environment and situation. And I'm not saying like, oh, like he's a victim of whatever happened
Sure.
to him. But I think us, like, as humans, we just respond a lot to like the roles that we're in, like our surroundings. And I think we kind of start to forget ourselves. And like, if you get into a role that has power and privilege in it, I think you can like start to really think that you are above other people and there are different rules for you because you get treated that way.
Yeah.
Like you do get treated that way. And so I think that depending on the environment you're in, whatever sort of character weaknesses you have, like you may or may not be more susceptible to environmental influences, and sort of like the more susceptible you are, I think the easier it is to lose yourself in something and to keep going further and further and further down that path. And like, you're sort of
lost in the woods.
You're lost in the woods. You're really not seeing things clearly anymore. You don't sort of have like any grounding. And then you can do like more and more egregious things and you like get away with it for one reason or another. And then like one day you finally get caught. Yeah. And you're like grounded in reality and people are like, what the fuck? Like, and I think some people are like, have like, it's not like a weaker character, but like maybe a constitution or something. Like they're more easily sort of influenced. They don't have like a really strong, very strong moral compass. They don't have it very strong inside of themselves where they say like, that's not okay. no matter what anybody says, no matter what anyone in society is doing, like that is not fucking okay, right? I think a lot of people don't actually have that internally.
Yeah, we only see obviously 3 seconds of a clip. For all we know, his wife is like emotionally maiming him every night. You know, we
Maybe
don't
just
know the
us.
context really. That doesn't make it okay, but it would explain a little bit more of what's going on.
Well, like,
I mean, I my philosophy is I don't believe that infidelity happens in a vacuum, and it's not to victimize the one that is unfaithful. But there's more to it than like this person just went out of their relationship because they're a dick. There's more happening under the surface that like created this outcome in the first place.
I mean, sometimes they are a dick, but I think in most cases they're not.
Yeah.
Because there are.
Well, you could also be a dick and things happening under the surface.
But that's usually what it is.
Yeah.
It's usually both of those.
But no one wants to talk about that. Like we just want to like shame the person and make them walk down the street and throw a bunch of rotten food at them.
Well, I think it's satisfying for us because. Oh, do you watch The Handmaid's Tale?
I've watched probably half or so.
So they have those like, what are they called? There's a word for it, but when they have all the handmaids like kill the salvaging, it's called a salvaging. So like,
okay.
I don't know if you remember that there are times when like there's some, criminal according to Gilead law, and then the handmaids get to kill the person by like stoning them or just literally ripping
Oh yeah. So that was crazy.
And then like I don't know if you got to them in the show explaining that basically I think it was Lawrence, I think that like sort of one of the Gilead architects, at some point later in the show he alludes to the fact that they created the salvagings as like sort of kind of like a rebalancing the system in the sense of like, oh, here's an opportunity for the handmaids to like sort of take out all their rage on somebody, so like we can kind of have a way of sort of like helping them like manage like their rage over how like fucked they're getting. So like every once in a while they get to like salvage some top dog who really fucked up. So like Lawrence had thought about it and created it very purposefully for that reason. And so,
yeah, I think we do that in society as well.
Exactly. We have these like societally sanctioned ways of taking out our sadism. Like, I didn't get my revenge on my parents as a kid or as an adult. And so I have my built up, pent up rage. And then I have like a socially appropriate moment to just fucking go ham and take out my rage. And everybody has identified that person as a bad person. So no limits. I can say and do whatever I want. And I think that basically like, I don't know, cancel culture is like, it's kind of like a modern day salvaging. Let's just tear this person apart publicly, and we have an okay way to take out all of our rage. But if you look at it, it's like really terrible what we do. Like it's like you're taking it really far.
Yeah. Well, you and I talked about how I experienced that on a Facebook therapy group page.
You got,
it's just like
salvaged.
Send me to the hanging, to the firing squad. For sharing my experience, not even my opinion.
Well, no, I think it's true that like you were just the target that they needed in that moment. And like once one person, it's like blood in the water, right? Once one person does it, if like one or two more do it, then it's like, oh yeah, okay.
Feels validated.
It's okay. So we can do this. And so now I'm going to let loose on you because I haven't dealt with my rage towards whoever, has fucked me.
Yeah. I guess I expect more from therapists in a professional setting.
I don't. I don't think you ever should.
I shouldn't, but I do. I hold people to high standards. I've always held people to very high standards.
I think you're just setting yourself up to get hurt if you expect that.
Yeah.
I think we need to expect.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I see often on the web with therapy is like on these referral source group pages, there's always like people, they're requesting a very specific archetype of therapist.
Yeah.
But whatever. But the one that really irritates me is when they say in search of Christian therapist.
Mm-hmm. Why?
And because I don't understand what Christian therapy is. Like if you look at code of ethics within the mental health field, it talks about being fully open to all spiritualities and stuff like that. So when you market yourself as a very specific religion, you're saying, I can't work with these other people. I'm not willing to work with these other people, because it's all over their website and everything. I'm thinking, like, if you're a Christian therapist, aren't you just shouldn't you work at a church, be like a theologian or a pastor and talk to them through some kind of like biblical intervention? It'll be like Christian therapy for a client that is LGBTQ and trying to process their transitions. I'm like, how is that appropriate?
I mean that could be like I think we're thinking of like one stereotype of Christianity, which is like a really sort of unhealthy one here in the US. But like I think that could be a thing that someone is a Christian therapist, and like not all Christians are anti-LGBTQ, and it's possible that someone who's transitioning is also Christian and is like struggling with their faith, with the transition as well, and having an identity crisis, and maybe they want to see a Christian therapist to like help them figure out like maybe how this might change their engagement in their faith if like their community or if the brand of sort of Christianity they've grown up with is like anti-LGBTQ. But like, would you say the same thing if someone was like, I'm an Islamic therapist and marketing themselves for any other religion and saying, not that they're saying anywhere I won't see any other religion, but if they were clearly saying, this is my religion and I'm happy to support anyone in their spirituality, but I want to be transparent that these are my beliefs, and I do especially like to support people who also it's like having like a Mormon therapist as well, because there are a lot of like also like sort of like depending on the religion, there are a lot of there could be a lot of cultural differences that like are pretty significant that somebody outside of the religion wouldn't understand. So are you like again, or do you have the same criticism for other?
Well, I think philosophically as a therapist, I'm much more blank slated. So I try to not input my own like biases or assumptions into that container of the therapy room, and instead just use inquiry and curiosity and engagement to figure out what their beliefs are, what their biases are. Like if I don't really need to understand a specific culture if I listen, because they will tell me. So I just think it can get kind of messy if we start to like market our own religious beliefs. And it's like contrary to all my training. I just never was taught that you would tell people those types of things about yourself and use that as some kind of intervention strategy.
Yeah. So you're saying that it for you, it's not just that you're saying that about if someone says they're a Christian therapist, but you don't feel differently one religion versus another. If someone says
no, but I would suspect if I got on a group and was like, I'm an Islamic therapist and blah blah blah, we need to treat these people, I think there would be some more ears perked up.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on the. But what about
especially here in the South? You know, I live in North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean,
you're out in Washington.
It depends
right?
on the state you're in, for sure. We have to take that into context.
I'm in the Bible Belt down here.
But what would you say to like if someone is looking for a Buddhist, a Christian, Islamic, a whatever, Mormon. What if someone is specifically looking for a therapist who believes that, and there are people who do, right? Then couldn't we also say that those therapists who are open about their beliefs are responding to
that need,
to that need, and I think it's very possible. Not all people are so like thoughtful about how they market themselves and sort of like looking at what the market needs. But I think it's very possible that someone is looking at the local market that they're in and is seeing a lot of requests or hearing a lot of requests for that, sees that that there's like a gap there, that there aren't a lot of therapists who are marketing themselves like that, and like does have those beliefs and would be happy to see those people, right? So like, can't we also look at it from the perspective of they are meeting those clients' needs? I know, like, I have a specific example from my life. I know that clients are specifically looking for therapists who have those beliefs.
Yeah, it's probably less saturated where you're at just by the state itself.
You'd be surprised. There are a few people. Yeah, I think it is less saturated. But what do you like?
I would say
the training
like we as
therapists
need to educate clients better, because I see that often. You know, I had this weird intro call maybe a year ago, and she instantly created this weird power dynamic where I was like, she just cold called me. I answer. I knew it was a potential client because I have it rooted through my like Psychology Today number.
Psychology Today is calling you.
Yes. And I was like, hey, this is Evan. She's like, oh, you're pretty young. That's the first thing she said to me.
Oh.
I was like, what? But apparently she was looking for like a couples therapist, and she had immediately put me on my back feet by her comment and her like tonality.
Yeah.
And ultimately at the very end, it was a very brief call, but I said, you know, therapy is not experience-based, it's skill-based. And oftentimes if I don't have the experience, I can actually be way more present and effective in the room with the client, because I'm not gaining any kind of like subconscious bias or assumption based on my own experience to then input into the dynamic. Similarly, when you have a tumor in your brain, you don't look for a surgeon who has also had a tumor.
Did you say that on the call?
I didn't say that part.
Can you please next time?
I was pretty pissed. I was like, this is so like
just to
the ignorance here.
Nail on the coffin.
I mean, I was thinking too, I'm like, wow, she's already, and I've read this in books before where in the inquiry call, people will reenact a lot of their dynamics.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm very curious as to what her dynamic is with her husband, if this is the way that she interacts with a therapist that's a stranger.
Yeah.
Like, man.
I had that. I just had that last week, and not as bad, but man, it pissed me off. Really pissed me off. There was a consult call. I had something similar twice. So 2 different calls, different questions in the past few weeks. So one of them was they were both looking for a couples therapist, and in one instance, the couple was on the line, so I was speaking to both of them at the same time, speakerphone. The other one, it was just the wife who was calling me. With the couple, we were talking, they primarily were looking for help because they were having struggle blending their families, second marriages or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then midway through the call, then they started interrogating me, which I hate. I fucking hate it. And like, I may not do consult calls anymore in the future, not particularly for that reason, but like if I do continue doing them, I'm gonna have to. I've decided I'm not going to put up with that shit anymore. I'm going to have to find a way to just call them out and be like, this is not an interrogation here, guys. Yeah. But anyways, she said, are you married? And I'm like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an educational problem with clients.
Like, so no, I'm not. By the way, I'm not married. I'm single. And in that moment, I was caught off guard. So I answered her question, but
Yeah.
I'm angry that I answered her question because for me, that it crosses a line. The implication, number one, is that I'm not going to be helpful to them
Exactly.
if I'm not married, which is flat out wrong.
Because it's skill-based.
Then I guess I wouldn't have helped all the couples that I've helped because I'm not married. Like, and number two, like this is a professional conversation. Just because we're having a consult call and you want to figure out if I'm a good fit for you doesn't mean that now you can ask me questions about my personal life and that I'm going to just like answer them. Like that question crossed a line and I could feel it. Like I could feel it. Like even if I were married, I would still feel it. Like you crossed the line, that's intrusive now. What?
And what they're doing in that moment is saying, "Can you help me?"
Right. So,
but that's where I'm saying that's going back to like marketing ourselves as Christian therapists. It's also creating this misinformation funnel where, like some of these therapists are marketing these specific lived experiences. Therefore, that's what therapy is.
Yeah. Oh, I actually got it wrong. So it was on that call with the couple that she asked me, "Do you believe in God?"
Oh boy.
Yeah. And it was actually on the call with the wife, just the wife, where she asked me, "Are you married?"
I haven't had that question
like,
in an inquiry call before.
Like, and in both instances, I could feel like you crossed it. Like, it just, as you can tell, it makes me very angry. Like,
well, the reenactment
why do
is probably.
Why do you think that this isn't why do you think these questions are appropriate? Like that you have a right to know this information, and also you're fucking dead wrong. Like, so then that means that if I'm only effective in helping you if you believe in God and I believe in God, so then what you're also implying is that I'm ineffective and unhelpful for all the people that if I believed in God and if I'm helping someone who doesn't believe in God, then you're basically saying I can't help and I'm ineffective, like by your logic. I'm unhelpful to people who don't believe in God if I do, and I'm only helpful to people. Anyways, I'm still angry about it. I'm just ranting now. I'm still angry.
Yeah, I think the reenactment is probably that she is invasive and doesn't really respect or is curious about others' boundaries. That probably is some kind of dynamic in the couples system.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I wouldn't buy into that like immediately. Like that would be a thing in my mind of like, does that happen? Is she doing this or?
Yeah, it's just a initial theory.
Yeah. But like, yeah, possibly. But yeah, so in both instances, they didn't become my client, and also they both went into like interrogation mode. And I've never booked a client when they went into interrogation mode. I don't know who is booking these people who are interrogating, and I don't know if they already know they don't want to work with me and they're just trying to find justification. I don't know what the fuck is going on when they go into interrogation mode.
I've had clients that just in consults that didn't become clients and some that became clients where we'll do a consultation call and then they'll be like, all right, well, I have like 4 other therapists that I'm going to talk to this week. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You're calling at least five therapists for a consultation?
So what information are you looking for? Like,
well, that's the confusing part too. Is
people. So like, how are you going to know when someone you're talking to on the phone for 10, 15 minutes, how are you going to know that they're a good therapist? How do you know someone's a good therapist and they're a good therapist?
Well, they don't know how to even vet that. Like they don't know the questions to ask really. So,
but those are the things, like, I wish I were stronger on these calls. And that was kind of me, like, sort of taking it away. That was my sort of takeaway from these calls, of being like, Sandra, if you're not booking these people with the way the conversations are going anyways, you might as well just fucking call them on their shit and at least feel good that you, like, stood up for yourself and you didn't answer a question you didn't want to answer, and you let them know that it was inappropriate and they're fucking wrong. Now, I'm not going to be like, you're fucking wrong, but...
Well, I think like couples consultations are tougher too, because couples are often, they're coming into therapy in a very toxic system. With individual, you get a way more wide spectrum of presenting problems and where they are psychologically.
That's so true. I've always thought about the fact that they're coming in and they're
in a war zone. Usually
they're typically in higher crisis, and they're typically even, well, maybe not, but like they can be pretty anxious, and I think they are looking for more security from their therapist, because you've got two super anxious people who are like out of control versus maybe even one. So I think they are sort of like looking for more.
And they're more familiar with abusive communication style, because that's the role in which they're operating in their couples system. And now you're a part of that.
Yeah.
Like, immediately.
Oh yeah. And then I'm like,
because you're a couples therapist. Yeah.
Which, like, when I feel it very strongly, I'm like, excuse me, just because I'm seeing you doesn't mean that I, like,
receive the same.
I'm going to communicate with you. I'm going to put up with the same shit you put up with. I don't put up with it. But you make a good point that I hadn't really thought about, of like, what was the initial thing you said? That they're
already in a crisis relational dynamic with each other.
Right. Yeah. Which, like, I hadn't really thought about that difference.
It's like they're in the kitchen breaking all these plates and screaming at each other, and they're like, all right, come on in.
I mean, that's definitely how it feels sometimes.
Like, come on in, you bitch. Start throwing shit at you.
Sometimes what it feels like is like, I open up the door, I see them in the kitchen looking at me, I see like a plate in somebody's hands, I see like a pile of broken dishes, and then I'm like, I'm not stepping foot past this threshold, you can come out.
Yeah.
Like, I open the door, I'm like, okay, they're like,
I need to be able to shut this door.
I'm like, I'm not coming in. I'm going to come out here. I'm going to be sitting here on this couch over here. Hey, you guys want to come over here? Like, you have to come in. And then they try to they'll try to literally, sometimes they're really trying to drag me in. I'm like, no, I'm just going to sit over here on this couch. You can come out when you want.
Yeah, I'm grateful that a lot of my experience in internship and early provisional license was with high acuity and in community mental health, because I've never had to navigate something as like acute and toxic in people as when I was in those settings. So now in private practice, it's like a breeze. It's even like, I think if I would have went straight to private practice, I'd be like, wow, this person's in crisis, but they like drove to the session. Like, there's levels of crisis here. Like, I was used to seeing people that, they were such high acuity, they couldn't have scheduled the appointment and shown up. Like, they would have been lost in the city for 4 weeks.
I mean, there are some clients that I look back on from my beginning, which is like similar to yours, where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm like, I had no business seeing that person, and, like, everybody knows it, right? And it wasn't, it's not just me. There's like so many beginner therapists there who have no business seeing like a quarter to half their caseload or something, right? And everybody knows it, but they're just, it's really shitty, because they're just like, they want to, you're just a warm body in the room, and I think they're just hoping that like they get seen by somebody, and this is a learning experience for you in one way or another. But
Yeah, the highest acuity clients are often getting the less skilled therapists. However, in the world of talk therapy, whenever you're in grad school, you are more qualified than most people that think they're doing therapy, because you have a lot of certified counselors and peer support people playing those roles. I see that a lot in treatment.
Oh, yeah, I don't really see that. Or I'm not saying I don't see that. I just haven't encountered that.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot of like treatment centers on the East Coast, at least. So once you're in grad school and you're in internship, I went to my initial intern practice. There was one licensed therapist in the entire treatment center. The rest were CSACs, like certified substance abuse counselors. So they went to like a community college and took a couple classes, and their primary intervention is like peer support, lived experience.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I was overqualified in grad school.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with substance abuse counselors, like what their training is. What their interventions are. Yeah. Do you know the statistic on that basically counselors atrophy over time if they don't like continually invest in their work and their training? They found that.
No, what?
Yeah, I mean, like it's probably in the fucking intro of one of these books on my shelf, but basically they've found that people who are like brand new therapists, whatever, just getting out of grad school, like have a higher effectiveness rate with their clients than people who've been in the field for like 10, 20 years, because if you don't continue to invest in your skills and like oversight on what you're doing, then you will actually slowly get worse over time. And it's such a I don't know what the word is that I'm thinking of.
Misnomer.
Yeah, but that's not the right word. Something there. That was the word I was thinking of. It's not, anyways. So like, I think that most therapists believe that that they're getting better over time with all of the experience they're having, but they're actually getting worse.
Yeah, their blind spots are growing.
Yeah. And most therapists don't do supervision after they don't have to anymore. And I think a lot of therapists are like, they're getting their CEUs in and they're going to these trainings, but
and most of those are a joke.
But the trainings, even the good ones, are not providing continual oversight on the work you're actually doing. And you don't actually like learn a lot from them. Even the best ones, you will learn from it, but like it's
a money grab.
It's usually mostly didactic, but like even when you are practicing, which the good ones include a fair bit of practicing, the thing is like you're practicing some of these sort of discrete skills that they're teaching you, but no one is going to see how you actually practice it in real life with your clients, and no one is continually looking and watching you and your patterns. Like most therapists aren't doing this. So yeah, we're getting worse over time, but we have this idea that we're getting better because of our experience, or that these trainings are really like significantly helping us. But the problem isn't like learning some discrete skill. The problem is when are you applying these skills? Are you applying it in a context that it actually works? And how are you assessing if your intervention worked? And how are you going to be able to assess if your intervention worked if you're the only one who ever has eyes on it and you have some countertransference or some bias, and you're only going to pick up on this small sliver of the picture? But like when you watch a tape back, then you're like, oh yeah, I totally missed my I totally missed the fact that I even wasn't paying attention in that moment, and I like looked away and I missed that thing that my client did, or like, oh yeah, at first I thought that my client did this, roll their eyes because of whatever, and then now I realize looking back at the tape that there was something in their eye and they weren't rolling their eyes, and that was just my impression in the moment. So like,
yeah, it's also if you're experiencing burnout, it's hard to be emotionally intelligent or present in a therapy room too.
Yeah, I wonder how many therapists are like,
because I mean it's sad to see the amount of therapists that they're reenacting their own like passivity in the profession.
Oh my God.
Especially
Yes.
with like business philosophy.
Yep.
Where they're on like 20 insurance panels and they're running around trying to make their $50 from Cigna 3 months later, and they see 35 people a week, and it's just like, you're unwell. Like, you and your practice is unwell. You need to get your shit together, because you are like all those nuances you're talking about where there's harm being done or something not being noticed. Imagine in that therapy container room how often that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, like, paying attention is something that you build over time, and you have to continuously like do and keep doing and keep doing and keep doing. It's not just something like if you pay attention for 5 years and then you don't pay attention for 20, that just stays. Like, and so if you're neglecting yourself and you're doing this to yourself, it means that you are not paying attention to yourself like on a moment by moment basis, and you're in some level of like minor to moderate anxiety with disconnection from your feelings. And like, when you're a little anxious, like your senses they're dulled because you just have that current of anxiety over everything, and it's going to make your eyes dart around a little bit more, like not even just like that in the moment, but like you'll get a little more distracted and things like that, and that's going to add up. And so if you're neglecting yourself outside of the room, you're neglecting yourself in the room too, because being in the room doesn't change your habitual patterns and what you do on a moment by moment basis and what you've built up over time. And
you also can't co-regulate with a client if you're dysregulated.
Yeah, so you're not going to regulate as well with them. You're going to, you might pay attention to them, but it's not going to be as good, because a big part of paying attention to somebody else is actually also paying attention to yourself and how you feel around them.
Big part
so
of
there's
it.
just going to be a lot that you're not going to pick up on, and you are going to model for them not paying attention to yourself and not really like valuing what your feelings are telling you, and like really evaluating, is what I'm doing in my life working for me, and are the choices I'm making, are they really working for me? Like, if you're not deeply asking yourself those questions and constantly like reevaluating, am I taking care of myself? Is this working for me? How do I actually feel about like the decisions I'm making? Am I actually like happy? Like, am I balanced more or less, sort of, or like, am I sending myself into dysregulation with the choices that I'm making, constantly living on this like hamster wheel of helplessness? You're going to perpetuate that with your clients.
I think a core belief that a lot of these therapists possess that are on 20 different insurance panels and want to help the weak, and they're sacrificing themselves and their own sense of wellness, is that they think they're helpers. Like, I need to help. It's a white knight syndrome. Whereas for me,
I like
philosophically,
to call it the martyr syndrome.
yeah, but I don't walk into a room saying, all right, I'm going to help this person.
Yeah.
I walk in thinking, how do I create an environment where they are the agency of change? Because that's what I learned in grad school. Like, where is this? There's nothing about my experience in grad school where it's like, all right, you're going to come in and you're going to roll your sleeves up and you're going to fix these people's lives. Where the fuck is this coming from? This is not in any literature. So maybe that's what you're talking about, where people over time develop these different nuances of misperception and bias, and it kind of echoes out into like what we are as a profession.
Well, I think there's
Like a seasoned therapist, right? Everyone wants a seasoned therapist. Well, what the fuck does that mean?
I would love to comment on one of those posts just with the straight up statistic that says that a seasoned therapist is more likely to be worse. Not necessarily, but more likely based on.
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's in part what inspired us to start this platform. Is hopefully one day you could meet Melissa. She's great, but you know,
I like her. She seemed cool from the.
Yeah, like we don't have to film each other or send audio recording to get some kind of oversight, or even just get the mind working in new ways in terms of therapy is super vital. Because I get very pigeonholed in like my idea of what therapy is, my approach, and what works and what doesn't work. And then I can talk to her, you, or whomever I meet with, and it opens up a new view, and it challenges me to like enact some of that idea. It keeps me new and fresh.
So what kind of biases and what do you need me to help break in you today? What can we break in?
Good question.
If you don't want to work with them and you are not like skilled in working with them and you're not invested in becoming skilled in working with them, which if you don't want to work with them, you're not investing in your skills to be good at working with them. And
I just don't want to be scapegoated.
Yeah. And you're going to be, so you just have to accept that first of all,
but that's the thing that people don't want to talk about is like, it's a fucking liability for you and your business.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because, so I'm in a 3-year long training right now for, ISTDP, this kind of crazy therapy. Anyways.
What does that stand for?
Intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy.
Gotcha.
So I'm in this 3-year core training group and we have a WhatsApp group. It's the same, 6 of us. So we know each other really well. And so we will occasionally message about, and our trainers like in the WhatsApp group too. And so we'll message about a case or something or a skill or something we're struggling with, and we'll ask each other for feedback. So like just a couple of days ago, or yesterday, I guess, one of the group members messaged that she has this client that she's seen twice. And in the first meeting, the client showed up 15 minutes late. And so this therapist didn't have time to be like, hey, to bring up number one, that she video records her therapy sessions and to discuss that with the client and to see if they would consent. And number two, that she was going to take off August, like for vacation. So I didn't have time to bring that up. And then, so she followed up after that session and she sent the client an email, like, letting her know about these things because she didn't have time to bring it up. Client doesn't respond, shows up to the second session, doesn't bring it up at all. So then the therapist like brings it up, right? And discusses the video recording. The client is okay with it, consents. And then at the end of the session says, hey, like I'm going to be taking off the month of August. The client looks like shocked or whatever about this news. They end the session. Like the next day, the client sends this therapist like an angry email. You sprung the video recording on me and it's so irresponsible that you're taking off the month of August when I'm a new client with you, and threatening to report them to their board or whatever. So this therapist includes all of that in the message and is like, I wrote an email in response. I started writing one, but I just wanted to get your guys' feedback. And the funny thing is that like, when I read all of that, I was like, this lady's bluffing. And even if she does say something, like, I wouldn't give a shit, right? Because I've come to this point in my career where I work with a lot of people who like, I could live in fear of all my clients that they would bullshit like that with me. But I've come to the point where I've realized, like, if we as therapists live in fear of our clients leaving us nasty Google reviews, sending us nasty emails, leaving us nasty voicemails, reporting us to our board, what kind of a therapist are we going to be for them if we're cowed by their bullshit?
Yeah.
We're going to suck for them. We're not going to be good. We're not going to call them out. We're not going to call them on their bluff. We're going to live in fear constantly at a low or a high level somehow, that if we don't do what they want us to do, that they're going to punish us, and we don't want to get punished.
That's why I recommend, as licensed therapist, to have like a side life coaching business, have some kind of contingency management plan, because I don't know if you know much about boards, but they are in it to protect themselves.
I imagine they are. Sure. Yeah.
So they come down really fucking hard.
I think, like, this is not anything I know because I've been on a board or I know people on boards very well. But I think that they can see through most of these things. And, like, yes, like, if there's something that I'm doing that is blatantly violating the ethics, then yes. But, like, if the client's just complaining and there's no place where I violated the code of ethics, what grounds do they have to do anything to my license?
The problem with ethics is they're highly subjective. And when you have people on boards, their primary role of maintaining their job is to uphold these codes of ethics. So they already are standing with the bias. It's not like burden of proof situation. It's more, how is this person violating? How do I ensure that by the information the client's plastered on our board website? So there's an inherent bias there. And then there's a risk of, if we don't do anything, what is this client going to do to us?
Do you know people on boards though? Like,
I don't know anyone on boards, but I know people having to interact with boards.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's why I always recommend, have some kind of fail safe.
Yeah.
Or if you need to jump ship, and you can just send your, I'm a life coach now.
Yeah, I do.
That's what I did. I mean, I have my therapy practice, and then I have a life coaching business. Just why not? I have something that I could go to if something crazy happened, and who knows, maybe it would take off unexpectedly. So
I'm developing a failsafe, but not for that reason, but I'll have my ducks in a row. But yeah, like, basically, because of the amount of personal work I've done in my own therapy, and then, like, the amount of, like, training and help I've had from supervisor, just like the amount I've invested in myself personally and professionally, I have gotten to the point where I'm not afraid of clients scapegoating me or threatening me or leaving negative reviews. I'm like, you know what? It might happen, but I'm determined to be, like, first of all, that me being a therapist doesn't involve me taking shit from anyone. That's not part of the professional job description. And I think for a lot of therapists, they think it is. But it's not part of it to accept blame when I haven't done anything wrong. It's not part of it.
I'll say too, something that could help with the fear of negative reviews. It's a good vetting strategy.
Yeah.
So a client that's looking you up and reading all the reviews and then finding a negative one and then choosing to not work with you, you don't want to work with them anyway.
Yeah.
But who the fuck would do that?
Yeah.
I've seen, like, countless therapists. Not one time have I done, like, some weird detective work on the reviews of their practice. It's not even occurred to me.
I think it's becoming more of a norm for people to read reviews, but I don't think they're necessarily doing detective work. I know people have read my reviews.
Right, but if it would show a sign of wellness if you have one or two rants of a review that's like, oh, this person's pathological, and then there's other 10 that are positive. Like, they reach out because that they have the discernment, right? But the unwell people, people that might have a personality disorder or something, they're going to fixate on that, and they're not going to call you.
Yeah. I think,
but a normal, like average, well-adjusted person, even if they did read something like that, it's not going to deter them.
Yeah, I don't think they would really, pay too much mind to it unless there did
the clients that you'd want to see.
There did seem to be like an emerging pattern. But yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if I know that I didn't do something, I know that I didn't do it, and I'm not going to accept blame for it. And I'm going to tell you straight to your face, I didn't do that. But let's see what you're projecting onto me here, because here's what you did do. And if you want, we can look back at the tape if you want to have a fight about it, because we have tape. We can look at it. I'm happy to show you. I did not do that, what you're accusing me of doing. So what is this about for you, right? And then if someone's trying to threaten me over email, I'm not going to accept the threat either. So, I mean, like, I responded to her and I was like, if I were you, I would call them straight out on their bullshit. Because what can this person actually complain about you about? Like, you didn't do anything wrong. And they're bluffing. They're using this as like a power move on you to cow you and get what they want, which is how they abuse other people. And this is what needs to be treated in therapy. I think my point is, like, this is you being a good therapist. And you being a good therapist doesn't involve you taking any blame for anything you didn't do, being passive or politely apologetic just to, like, let the moment smooth over, because either you're going to be like a passive aggressive therapist, right? Or you're going to be a bad therapist for these people, because you let them walk all over you and then you fire them when you've simply had enough because you haven't addressed it with them and you think you're setting boundaries, but really you're being a dick. Or you're going to confront them straight on when they do it, and you're not going to accept blame, and you're going to call them out, and you're going to say, like, do you want to actually look at this, knowing that you're probably the only person who's ever said that to them, including their other therapists?
Yeah. Yeah, I think whenever we're dealing with clients that have like hyper reactivity, 95% of it is probably going to be transference. But it is helpful to have a moment of pause and see if there's a grain of something there.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes...
Because I think, like with your colleague, you don't have to say this to him, but, I would recommend, even on a consultation call or on your website, it should be very apparent that you're recording. And even if they're 15 minutes late, it's, hey, how are you? By the way, this is being recorded.
She didn't record it without consent.
Oh, okay.
No, it was just to bring up the fact that I record myself.
But just to practice, like, being way more, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I do at my practice. Like, having that is like that's the handshake.
Yeah, no, she should. And I don't know if she has it really obvious, like, or not, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, even that being said, but
it doesn't warrant, especially, I misheard. So especially since it wasn't recorded, it doesn't warrant the reactivity.
No, nothing she did warranted what this person did. And very clearly,
but it's like, if we could do something very simple that would help mitigate having to navigate someone's neuroses in the future, like, why not? So that's what I would take from it. It's like, yeah, it's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. But if I change one thing and it takes 10 seconds and I don't have to navigate this chaotic shit, why not do it?
I agree. And I don't want to put myself or anyone else in the position of always trying to look for those things, because in my experience with people like that, it doesn't matter. They're going to find something.
Yeah, something else
at some point, and you can't be like perfect, and you can't mitigate all of these things. So, like, it should definitely be explicit. And I think every time there might be something you could take and be like, I could be more upfront about this, or I could be more structured in this way.
Yeah, but it's never ending. You're right.
But at the end of the day, it's never ending. And if someone reacts like that, they're going to react to something.
Also, if it's my belief, you can't wait a month, you're in the wrong level of care.
And that's the other thing. If this person is very upset about that, then if they're upset, it's one thing, but if it's something that they really need, then they should not be in outpatient therapy. But
Yeah,
the is that they're fine for outpatient therapy, but they probably have a personality disorder.
But I would recommend to that colleague that they send an email saying, "Hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, I will be out in August. Here's a list of, intensive outpatient programs in the area. Seriously, cover her ass."
She could put that in there. Of like,
yep.
I mean, that would be a good. I mean,
Because
it's a CYA that you would add to all of that. If this is a serious concern for you, and if what you're telling me right now is that you cannot go a month without seeing me, then you do need to be in a higher level of care. And that is my professional recommendation. I'm going to, and here is a list of programs. But if it's not the issue that you need a higher level of care, but that you are simply upset with me, then we need to talk about that. And we can talk about that in our next session. But if you have a higher need, then you need to go do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Because it's you obviously have like a higher acuity. Because outpatient therapy is designed for me to interact with you for an hour a week.
Yeah, but
it's not 20,000 emails.
In this case, it was not about a higher level of care. Yeah, but yes. Yeah.
It's not me having to, get a consent and navigate the relationship with your mom and get you IVC'd, and that's not outpatient therapy. Although I've had to navigate that stuff. That's the pickle of private practice is you can do your best to have a consultation and vet people, but sometimes you don't know and you get into pickles where it's like, man, this person, it gets very complex. Like, oh, this person's higher level, but they have these needs. They have potential, distress and patterns that create complication in our relationship. I mean, it can get kind of messy.
I mean, I had someone who then maybe they should have been on a higher level of care, and this was a while back, and I did bring it up with them, and they flat out said that no, they wouldn't go and do that. So
that's usually what you'll get
at that point, and it's not like they need to be hospitalized. So it is their choice. So at that point, I can either continue seeing them under whatever sort of agreement that feels sort of good to me, where I'm not worried about any sort of liability and I think the care is like reasonable, or I can say, well, in that case, I cannot see you because this is my recommendation and I do not advise doing this. And so we can have 1 or 2 more sessions to wrap this up. And here is my list of where I recommend you go to. And it is my recommendation that you do not pursue another outpatient therapist. But in that case, I continued seeing that person, which it all worked out okay. But like, that's good. I mean, I flat out was like, have you considered a higher level of care and would you go? And she was no. And it wasn't like even a hard no. And I understood why. So, but.
Yes, part of my specialty is in addictions. So that happens more often than I would like it to in private practice, where like, you don't really know the level of use and, or they're being deceitful. Obviously they're trying to like have some defense to maintaining their way of coping.
Right.
And then like months go on, you start to realize, oh, you're drinking like a 2 liter of vodka in the morning. That's not good.
Just 1 beer. Like you told me it was a couple beers.
You're drunk at this session.
Yeah.
It's like, oh boy.
By the way, I need to go to the bathroom. I'm assuming you can like cut that out or something.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go take a quick bathroom break.
All right. I think Melissa, she finally got a light. She looked like a warlock for a while. She's just like peering over her webcam in the
I have
dark.
some
She
like
only wears black.
I have some little lights somewhere that I like could put and sort of set up, and I did buy them specifically for like seeing clients on video calls, but I was just like, I don't care. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got the light, so now she's also glowing.
I could go get them right now, but that would look weird. Like
Just use your phone light.
half of it is my
Just
phone
put
battery.
a flashlight on you.
Probably look, I can do that. I mean, like literally, I could go get those little lights, but
nah, it's good.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much. Oh wait, okay, I did the old person thing. I just want to wait. Does it even work? No, it's just like not very good. Like this, like I don't know, weird, like those like sort of thriller movies where they did drugs and then some weird shit starts happening, and then they're running around with the camera in front of their face and the light in different areas. Yeah,
I don't really use this, but it's pretty cheap. But
is this your is this a home office?
Yeah, I have a home office and then an actual office.
And then you don't see clients at home from your home office, do you? Okay.
No, virtually.
Record the podcast.
Yeah, so let's spend some time specifically about you and your work as a couples therapist. Something I've picked up on is that you seem to value therapeutic confronting, which is missing in the field.
Yes.
And I believe, I can't remember which, maybe as a psychoanalyst or something I had read in grad school, was like, if there's no confrontation, there's no therapy.
Oh, 100%.
And so we, as clinicians, we have a base of Rogerian philosophy, which is what unconditional
positive regard.
You can't
even think of the words. You've like forgotten.
Yeah, there's three things, that, and it's such a great foundation, but we have to go beyond that. And if we're only Rogerian, we're going to be very passive. And we're going to be someone's cheerleader.
Yeah.
And the veil's never going to be pulled back. Yeah. Like the blind spots aren't going to be shown. There's no challenge. There's no change or growth going to happen that way. So, like, what's been your experience, and am I accurate about that characterization?
No, I fully, yes, I 100% agree. You're on point. I think it's probably like, I feel like in life, like you'll pick like sort of like one thing, like, and that's probably my one thing as a therapist. I mean, it might even be like my one thing. I think it's just my one thing as a person. Like, this is most important to me, that without challenge, there won't be growth. And that the truth is more valuable than your feelings. And that there's no sense in trying to avoid hurting somebody's feelings, because they're going to be hurt one way or another. That's just a reality of life. Feelings get hurt. And we, for the most part, we don't like the truth, because the truth is that we get really honest with ourselves and we see our failings, and that we're not as good as we want to think we are. We all like to say like, oh, I'm a good person, or I love you, like you're a good person, and like
yes, if we're in like a couple, if I'm dating someone, it's comforting to pick apart what I perceive as their wrongdoings. The more I do that, the less self-aware I am.
Yeah, I mean, any attention that you're spending, you can only pay attention to one thing at a time. Yeah. And
but what do you think's going on with these dyads where one partner is fixated on all the things that this person needs to do or not do so that they feel loved? Like everything is based on how they can feel loved.
I think those people tend to be very fragile. And desperate and panicked and
insecure.
Yeah.
Externalizers.
Huge externalizers, very, very fragile on the inside. And it's almost like, like it has like similarities to OCD. Like you can't stay with your inner experience. When you're there, it's terrifying, really high anxiety, desperate to feel better. And the way you try to make yourself feel better is to become focused on how things outside of you are going to make you feel better. It's like the same mechanisms, just turned on your partner, obsessing at some level, ruminating on at some level about what your partner did here, what your partner did there, and if it made you feel good there, made you feel. And the truth is that you just feel terrible all the time.
Right.
And without just admitting that and then focusing on that and like trying to find a way to just be okay with the fact that you feel terrible all the time, it feels so intolerable to them. They have like so little distress.
Yeah. I think the question too is, did you feel like this before you met this person? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes.
Sometimes they'll deny, but.
Right. But like that feeling where I'm restless inside, I'm fearful, like I feel afraid, I feel unloved, I feel unseen, I feel ignored. Like those themes, you might get into like a really toxic abusive dynamic and the partner can instill that in you, but oftentimes that predates anything that you're coming with as someone in your teens or 20s or 30s. Like there's core stuff happening there.
Yes, and I would go so far as to say that's true in every single person's situation.
Yeah.
You're just trying to resolve your core stuff on top of your partner. And while you may experience it more intensely with them because of the closer connection or because you really haven't taken a look inside and this is the first time you're experiencing all this stuff that you've like hidden and forgotten and denied and whatever, it's still, I would say that for everyone, it becomes more obvious at higher levels of intensity. But like, no, I'm never going to, I'm also sort of coming from a very like radical meditative background where all of your pain is yours to take care of and your suffering is perpetuated by yourself, which like,
our healing is our responsibility.
And I'm more in that, like, I think that there are some, that's always in the background for me. And I think there are some couple therapists who are going to like sort of put more responsibility on the other person. And I'm like, dude, at the end of the day, like you're causing your own, suffering and you're not accepting that. And then you're not accepting your partner and your partner and the way you feel around them is just, it's just a mirror for all of your struggles and the way you treat yourself and the way you relate to yourself. And so you're not accepting your own shit. And like
you're projecting it onto them, displacing
the degree to which you don't accept your own internal shit is the degree to which you're going to try to change them because you're trying to change them because you can't tolerate what's happening inside of you. So the levels are the same. However much you're trying to change them is the level to which you are not radically accepting your own internal emotional experience and the fact that like you just feel this way.
Can I send this to all my exes in a group chat?
You can do it if you want.
But no, that therein lies another issue with the symptom-based treatment that some therapists can do, especially if we're talking about couples therapy, is if I'm operating under, I'm a helper and I'm a fixer, and I'm in a couples therapy session and someone is talking about how they don't feel loved. Now I need to get the other partner to have behavioral change so that this partner feels loved, right? And then we're pulling away from like the projection idea or the transference or the developing the past present connections. Like I don't have a lot of faith in our field. I don't think that a lot of people are doing that. Like developing the difference between your intellect and your amygdala and how you have these emotional wounds and fear responses and like trauma activators that infiltrate and completely change your perspective of your partner.
They 100% do. Whatever.
And it's something we're missing, I think, as a profession oftentimes.
Yeah. I mean, I will do some of that, like, because I know that people who are coming into my office they're not coming to like sort of heal on this very, very deep level and radically accept these things.
They want relief.
They want relief. So like I will go with some of it.
Sure, initially, yeah.
And I do think that is helpful because there are some things that they're doing with each other that like aren't considerate and they're not loving. And it's also an opportunity to teach the other partner of like this is how you can be kind to your partner, and you don't have to do these things to make them feel better. But if you know that they feel bad when you do this thing, and you know that they feel good when you do that thing, then, and if that's within your power and it doesn't put you out any, and you voluntarily choose to do it, why wouldn't you voluntarily choose, if you love this person, if you care about them, why wouldn't you voluntarily choose to do the thing that makes them feel good? Like, I think we should all have that approach in all of our relationships. I care about you. I get to know you. I understand what makes you feel terrible, what your sore spots are. I understand what makes you feel good. And like, if I have the presence of mind and I have the energy to do it, and it doesn't put me out any, it doesn't cost me anything to do something.
Yeah, I think when both people feel some level of neglect and it turns into resentment, then it becomes this scorekeeping where, oh, well, you're not doing any of the things I need, so why would I do it for you? And if both people are doing that, you're at a stalemate.
Yeah. So that's
there's got to be some level of like risk.
That's how the negative cycle really happens, is that they don't have a strong internal moral compass where they say, it does not matter a goddamn how you treat me and what you do. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to communicate what I want to need. I'm going to tell you what I don't like. I'm going to do what I say. I'm going to say what I do. I'm going to be kind and loving. I'm not going to put up with your shit, but I'm going to be kind and loving. And really, if you aren't responding to what it is that I'm doing and you're getting really nasty and you're crossing like boundaries and lines that I can't tolerate and I don't want to do this, then I'm going to let you know and I'm going to leave the relationship. But like, I think most people don't have that internally, like the strength of character, the distress tolerance, the communication skills, all of it to be able to do this no matter what.
Well, I think it's important
no matter what. I never cross this line. I will never say that. Never, ever, ever. I will never.
Well, people are gonna like stay in stuff past its expiration or like stay in the dysfunction and not risk change with boundary. I think from fear of rejection and abandonment.
Yeah.
So it's this belief that if I do set this hard boundary, the relationship might end,
or
they might leave me.
You have to accept.
So it's the like unfamiliarity with sitting in those bigger shame-evoking feelings. I think that's the root of a lot of why people might be hesitant, or they'll be willing to like sacrifice all this stuff to ensure that the relationship continues.
Well, I mean, we're more invested in our ego, our own sort of fragility than just
Yeah, it's like I don't want to feel betrayed or rejection
life
or abandonment.
fucking sucks. You're gonna get massively hurt. You're going to leave. You're going to be left, and like you should never sacrifice ever, like like moral, ethical behavior just to feel better. And when you start making that deal and you start sacrificing your own integrity in order to feel
Yeah.
better, that's the sticky path, the dark path, the slippery slope that people go down. And so they get on these slippery slopes in these relationships and they will do these things to feel better. And the feeling justifies the action. But the point is that there just needs to be a certain box of no matter fucking what. I don't lie, no matter what. Not even to protect their feelings. I will not lie because that is like my stable ground. And then you're going to know that I'm never going to lie. I'm never going to use harsh language with you. There is no feeling. There's nothing in the world. There's nothing that happens to me in the world. There's nothing you can do to me in this world. There's no circumstance under which I will use harsh language with you. There's no circumstance. You could cut off my arm and I'm not going to call you a bitch.
Well, I think the issue there, I agree. But the issue is that I don't want to speak in generalities, but I'm gonna. The vast majority of humans are emotionally underdeveloped.
Oh no! I mean, like, yes, I 100% agree. Yes,
they like those past present connections. Being able to learn how to de-escalate from their amygdala firing up. I mean, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, and people, they don't have the capacity to self-regulate in those moments, and then they're feral cats and they say all this crazy shit because they don't have that individual level of growth and introspection and emotional regulation. And when you jump into a relationship, it's twice as hard because you have to navigate someone else's stuff. And if you don't have that kind of belief in personal autonomy and responsibility and projecting that out into the world, you're probably not going to find a partner that also values that. So you're going to get enmeshed in these different like toxic cycles. So I think that's probably like most people are in that when they seek out couples therapy. They're in what I just described.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Because if you have like an emotionally attuned person, that relationship isn't going to last very long because it'll be like, no, these are my boundaries.
And they're like,
I
you're
understand
abandoning
those.
me.
Yeah, and then it's like 2-3 months in, there's a couple of conflicts, and then it's kind of it. That's kind of it.
Yeah, and then
there's no negotiation.
Like, that person's like, yeah, like this really doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me. Like
I did that with one of my exes, my most recent ex. So I've had like 6-7 relationships the last 12 years.
Are you sure you feel recovered enough to talk about sex?
Yeah. But it's like from 6 months to 2 years. Those are like the lengths of the relationships, and then periods of nothing in between. But I try to look at, okay, what is my role and my themes in these different relationships that aren't working, and I realize that I have a fawning response. So I get feedback, and I'm like, and it's misconstrued as, oh, I'm going to take accountability and make changes.
You like what you're actually fawning, but what you're telling yourself and what you can believe you're doing is that you are taking responsibility for what you're doing, but really you're sort of like taking the responsibility and the blame that really belongs to them. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So I become like an emotional chameleon.
Yeah.
And God, it's in some book, some like old therapist. It's where it's like you reframe one of your core struggles as virtuous. So we do this in all sorts of ways, but instead of realizing, oh, I'm fawning. This is a trauma adaptation. I'm making myself small to accommodate the dysregulation of this adult that's near me. I'm gonna say, oh, I take feedback really well.
Yeah.
I like to take a sense of personal responsibility. I like to make change for people that I care about.
Yeah.
Right. But I never, in this relationship, it only lasted 3 or 4 months, but I had already done the work to realize that was self-deceit. And it was actually like a way to manipulate myself to stay sick. And so like very early on, I was just like, no, these are my boundaries. Like, I'm not taking responsibility for that. Like, you told me that you felt like this for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I've just come into your life. I might be, 10, 15% of a trigger for that, but this is stuff that you need to work on. I'm here for you, but I'm not going to take the blame for this.
See, that's really kind when you do that, right? Because it gives them the opportunity to like that someone's.
But it was very challenging for that person.
I'm sure.
Because I didn't say it like, there's a lot of people would be like, you're a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
Like, why are you always on my ass?
Yeah.
There's so many other ways to say that. But I said stuff just like that, which is very challenging because then I can't be scapegoated, right? If I act like an asshole, then, she can call all her friends and be like, he said blah, blah, blah. But if I say something like that, oof.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard, but it's really good. I mean, it's good for you, but it's also good for them because then, like, they probably never heard that before. They're probably used to people going ballistic on them or leaving them. And so then they never get the chance to to see what they're actually doing, and whatever they're doing like pales in comparison to how they are sort of treated, or the big reaction that someone has to their whatever sort of inappropriate behavior, or whatever they're doing, appropriate, inappropriate. But
yeah, no yelling, no name calling, no like toxic stuff happening.
Yeah.
And the ironic part is ultimately she left.
That's usually what will happen, is that they will leave. Like if you confront, for example, if you confront as a therapist and you confront like that, right? And you're like, no, actually I didn't do that. You did that.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't leave them. You don't refer them out. You say, let's talk about it, as this is a pattern that you've told me about in your life, that if someone does something you don't like, that you threaten them and you punish them and you call them names and you try to leave them. But look, I'm not going to leave you, but I'm also not going to tolerate what it is that you're doing. So I'm going to let you know this is inappropriate. So can we talk about it? And like, sometimes they will come around to that and it'll be good. And they'll be like, no one's ever talked to me like that before. No one's ever just sat me down and told me like what I was doing was not okay. And like, or
in a way that's not harming.
Or they will leave because they can't deal with whatever is happening internally, and they need to keep putting it onto other people so that they never have to deal with this crisis inside, and they may choose to never deal with it.
Yeah, if I set boundaries and limits, it's a mirror. It's very illuminating to a person.
I mean, like some of like I think some of the moments in my life that have been like the most impactful were ones where the person didn't react to me. They weren't mean. They just didn't react, and then they didn't do anything. And I was like aware enough. Like if I weren't aware, I wouldn't have picked up on it. But I was aware enough in the moment to be like, oh shit.
Yeah, you reflected.
Like they didn't do anything, and then I'm like, and then they didn't, and then so like I was just the only one in that space. They didn't add to it at all. And then I'm like, oh fuck. That was me, entirely me. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
Walking around the rest of the day being like, shit, damn it. Like I want to think that I'm like that I wouldn't do that, or that I'm not someone who would do that or say that or whatever, but like I did that.
Sometimes we do shit
Sometimes
that we regret or we show our ass. And,
did that. I'm like, that was me. Like, no, I'm not as whatever virtuous or good of or whatever person as I would like to think in my head. And I'm having a coming to terms moment with myself, being like, no, like that's who I really am. And can I accept who I really am and what I really did? Can I just accept that? And if I can, then I could be different if I want to be, or I could accept it and say, I don't want to be any different.
What is your philosophy on love languages?
They're
and
bullshit.
How that's infiltrated the like pop psychology.
Super
culture.
Annoying.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's I would put a lot of money on the person who did come up with that.
Gary Chapman. He's a Christian, by the way.
Yeah, I bet he operates on the happy wife, happy life
Maybe
model. Yes, dear model. Because I'm like, man, that they are. Is he licensed therapist? I don't know anything about him.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
he's not a therapist.
I would hope not.
I think he's some sort of Christian counselor or something. He's not a therapist that I.
It's so backwards in terms of like what we contract clients to do in a therapeutic process, which is to not assign personal blame constantly, but to assign a sense of personal responsibility for your own emotional experience, phenomenology, like how you show up with others, like that this is you and this is up to you. It creates like this externalization of what we were talking about earlier, where I need to feel loved by my partner. Like that's the biggest fucking lie. I mean, obviously that needs to be a part of the relational dynamic, but that is not the forefront of everything that you put your relationship on, is that I need to constantly feel loved by this person. It's way more, I think, pragmatic than that. It's like we are in a partnership. We're in like an agreement. Relationally, like we are partners in this world going against hard things together. It's not like we're going to Milan and you're buying me diamonds and then telling me how you're the most amazing person in this entire world. And like,
so you're talking
if you feel loved,
you're talking about affirmation and gifts. There's 5. You hit on 2 languages right there.
Yeah, so it's like if
yours is quality time, isn't it? Because you do a podcast.
Oh, I hate the quality time one. I've had exes put that on me. That is a moving goalpost. Because quality time can mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we spent 4 hours together. It wasn't quality.
Yeah, it wasn't
you didn't perform enough.
Because you pulled out your phone that one moment and then you were, I don't know.
We
were watching TV on the couch next to each other. We weren't talking.
But I think if you feel this deep sense of emphatic love early on, or even, I would say run for the hills. That's what I would say.
Well, I think that probably any marriage or couples therapist would say that.
Yeah, because it's a fucking trauma response. Like your nervous system is literally firing up and you feel dysregulated and you want to attach yourself to this person and you're framing it as they're the most amazing person you've ever met.
But also, I think that we could go so far as to pathologize the falling in love and the falling in love response, which is like a natural part of relationships, and it's what gets you to invest more deeply in something that at the end of the day is a shit ton of work and is probably going to make you more miserable than happy, at least for the first 5-10 years.
Well, it's designed to procreate.
Yeah, it's a mechanism. So but I think I don't want to over pathologize it because some people they do meet someone who is super amazing and they are really good together and they're very much in love with each other and they have all of that fun and that they also have a good relationship. But yeah, there's a certain intensity to people who during that time period that does seem that you can tell is different for people who are just having this sort of playing out all of their infantile wishes onto.
What I find interesting too with couples in early phases, when I process like with clients or even friends I observe, is whenever you meet someone and you're dating them, they're usually, ideally, they're in some form of autonomy and individuality in their
Yeah.
own life.
Yeah.
And so both people are coming together in this sense of, I'm an individual person, I've been single.
Yeah.
And then there's this bridging, and often that enmeshment occurs to where the very things that attracted me to this person initially, maybe they went to the gym or something, but now they're just laying around eating Funyuns with me, watching Netflix. They're losing these parts both simultaneously because we think, oh, we need to invest all of this into the relationship. But then we as individuals aren't even the same people anymore. And it becomes all about how to fix the relationship. In all actuality, we need to zoom out often and think about ourselves individually prior to bridging those different gaps as the couple. So I see that quite often. And then partners they'll even be like resentful. Like, oh, you took that away from me. It's like, nope, you took that away from yourself. Like and even if they did, you allowed them to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the other thing is that, like, when people say, like, oh, they did this to me, or they did that to me. Sure. Yeah, they did. They did it the first time. Right.
Like I play soccer.
Now you know who they are. They did the first time. You know who they are. Now, if you continue to relate to them, yes, they are doing this to you. But if you don't like it, then do something about it. And the doing something means communicating something to them or leaving if it's intolerable for you and they really can't adjust. And so, yeah, they did. If you're complaining about the same thing 5 years later, like, it's on you. You know who this person is. It's your choice to deny reality and to deny who they are, and then to neglect yourself, and then to wait for somebody else to make the change for you.
Yep. I play soccer a lot, and some of my teammates, they've had like babies and shit.
Babies and shit.
And they'll be like trying to set up the season next time, and oh, I don't know if the wife will let me. I have a baby. And my thought is, you can't take 2 hours a fucking week to do one thing. Like, what? Trade off. You take 2 hours, give her 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right? They're sitting here saying, I really would love to do this. This would be really great for me to have like an outlet to get out of the house a little, get some exercise, hang out with some dudes. And they probably won't. They'll be afraid of the consequences.
Which I think also speaks to like a passive role in the relationship. If you're saying my wife won't let me, then what you're implying is that your wife makes these decisions. And the thing is she may be making these decisions not because she likes being in control. That could be a thing, right? But she's probably also, in many heterosexual relationships, she's probably also more thoughtful about childcare and household and duties and whatever. And so she
might not trust him.
She might not
to do it alone. Yeah. Like if they alternate.
And that's true. She may not, but it also may be a symptom of the fact that this husband is not involved and invested in childcare and household management at the same level of the wife, and is saying she makes the decisions because she knows and she's in touch with it. And I'm saying, like, that's an issue because you're not taking like equal ownership of childcare and household duties, and either she's like shutting you out and not trusting you, or like you're not proactive, or both, right? And like it's just as much on you to make these decisions and these calls on as it is on her. And if your relationship is structured set up in the way of like this, and you're always getting the orders from the top, and you're just a slave to whatever she wants and whatever she's telling you is necessary or not necessary, then you need to step up to the plate and say,
yeah, we're probably assuming they're more developed, where the guy would say, can we do that trade-off of time? I don't think they even got to that.
No, I don't think so. No, not at all. But like, I'm also saying, like, if this guy doesn't know enough about what the household needs and the kids need, then that's a problem, because if he takes the orders from her simply because he's aware that she knows more about what's going on than he does, then you need to rectify
I see that a lot.
You need to rectify that, and you need to become more involved and make the decisions.
Be a man.
Be a fucking responsible adult. Yeah.
Well, and it's sad because it's not as though people are making these decisions, because a lot of this is subconscious.
Yeah, they're just...
It's not a decision.
Going with the flow.
Trying to keep everybody happy, minimize conflict.
Yeah.
So they're not like actively choosing.
Yeah.
That's fascinating part about doing work with clients, and my own work is realizing, wow, there's so much blind spot, and it's a very helpless thing when you're living in a lot of different subconscious ways. And the gift of therapy and introspection is, the more that I can learn and reflect and figure out what the shape of the cowlick on the back of my head looks like, the more agency I have, the more freedom I have, the more power I have. And the less likely I am going to be to accept chaos and dysfunction in my life. So I think that's the goal of therapy.
I am really just addicted to power.
Yeah, I want to be able to control everyone. So
no, I just want to be able to control myself. That's it. I want to get a handle on myself so that I'm not thinking I'm a victim to other things without realizing that I'm a victim to myself.
Yeah, because if we externalize everything and we have this identity of helplessness, we're trapped and there's no way out. There's no way to define our own sense of safety and belonging and empowerment. It's impossible. You're on the sinking ship. The holes are coming up everywhere and you're running around trying to plug them.
Yeah. And like, for me, that's probably what I think that's what most of my life has felt like, even after trying to like rectify that. So it's a very difficult thing to rectify in my experience. But I think of course it also depends on your background, because the way that I was raised was very much that I was like put in a very helpless, powerless position. So like,
oh yeah, me too.
So I very, very, very deeply, right, internalized that, because it was reality for a long time, right?
Yeah, I think that's the common experience of therapists that have high emotional attunement and intelligence, is that we were raised in environments where we had to be attuned to adults' emotional dysregulation. So developing those skills early on. It's something that you can't develop in grad school. That has to be like a more innate, longer term experience that you're adding to in grad school. You can't just come in a boot camp and develop that skill set.
The funny thing is that like going into grad school was sort of the first time that I had heard like this sort of talk of like, yeah, like kind of along the lines of what you're saying of like, yeah, therapists are typically like the ones that like everyone in the family would turn to for advice, or like for a listening ear, or therapists would be the ones who like emotionally, yeah, like regulated their parents, or they were, yeah, like parentified and they learned to caretake their parents. And I did not identify with like any of that. Like I was like, I would hear that. It was the first time I had heard it in my life. Like supposedly that was how I had grown up, and that was my role in my family system, that's like how therapists are. And I would sit there and be like, I don't see that. I really don't. Like, wait, how did I emotionally...
Was that a blind spot?
like, and to this day, I don't strongly identify with that. Like, I don't know, like when people say those things, I'm not like, yeah, like that's me. Like, but
well, it doesn't, maybe weren't regulating, but I've had a client before who was younger, and I realized that here'd be an example. You're in like a 6th grade classroom, and all these kids around you are acting out, being rambunctious. It's like you're building a group project or something. So there's not a lecture happening.
you're describing my
And
personal hell.
yeah, these kids are just like, being loud and rambunctious. This client is the only one in the room that knows the teacher's irritated.
Mm.
He's looking to the teacher and realizing that their affect is showing what he's perceiving as frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked around the room and realized that no other kid was doing that.
Interesting.
So that is a trauma adaptation.
Yeah.
He's learned, I need to make sure I understand what this adult is feeling and thinking to maintain my safety. And he had and he was so self-aware as 11 to realize that no other kid was doing that, and that was something unique to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mine is like a little bit, like different from maybe what people would normally sort of describe as like the stereotypical, like, I wouldn't say that I was like really like an emotional, like a little bit, but not really like an emotional caretaker for my parents who are like falling apart. But I did realize that, that like of everyone in my family, that I was like the only one who, and from my perspective, I don't know what other people would say, but
we could get them on here. We could get them on here.
We could. But I don't
do a little family group call.
They don't want to. They wouldn't want to. I tried. But I did realize that I was the only one who was like really sort of like, I think like was like looking around my family and like wondering about how people were doing and paying attention to how they were doing, observing. Like observing and paying attention to my parents' relationship. And that I didn't realize it until I was an adult that like probably late 20s, that there are a bunch of things that I know about my parents and their relationship that my siblings don't know, simply because I asked questions. And then I did start to realize that like, I don't think my parents did this with my sister and my brother. I'm the youngest. I don't think that like my sister and my brother ever had this dynamic, but that like I became the third in my parents' relationship. That like I think that I served and have served. I don't know that I do it too much anymore, but some sort of like regulating capacity for their relationship. Just because like my mom would, it's hard to know, but like I think that they both vented to me in ways that they didn't to my siblings. And I think part of that was also a function of my siblings being significantly older and me sort of like being a little bit like kind of on my own in a sense, that there was like a sort of a big enough gap. And I think also, I think that maybe my parents' relationship had broken down more like by the time I came along.
Yeah. And what you're describing, like kids that have it, I guess you could say easier. Comparing is never a good idea, but the more normal experience, I think, if I'm being optimistic, is kids, they're not thinking about parent dynamics. They're thinking about when they get to go play with their Legos again.
Yeah.
Like it's what's next. How can I have fun? How can I play? That is all that like a kid that's not having to navigate trauma is experiencing. And I've seen that with kids, and I'm like, man, that's wild.
Yeah, like, ooh, that would have been weird.
Yeah, because I was navigating all sorts of shit I had no responsibility for and needed to. It shouldn't have ever been my business.
Yeah, but yeah, like, so my parents' relationship was my business, and I was, paying, like, paying.
Yeah, like this adolescent I was seeing, he knows that they have like mortgage stress,
Yeah.
stuff like that. There's like very poor boundaries in the system. And there's obviously yelling and like all sorts of other shit going on. But
yeah, I mean, like, it took me forever to realize how, like, overly involved I was in my parents' relationship, and then being like, wait,
yeah,
not okay. It's like not supposed to be.
yep.
Which, like, there's probably parts of it.
Well, I was like the identified patient in my family system, and like the problem child that needed to be fixed. And I got into recovery at 18, and within like a year I had outgrown my parents.
Congratulations.
I mean, it wasn't good. I didn't want that. But I had to like contend with that and realize that. And it took me like 5 or 6 years to realize that, like being in recovery and valuing therapy and grad school as a therapist, all this stuff. It's like, okay, well, now the expectations have to drastically change in terms of what my relationship with my parents is, what it can be, and just finding all these different like unintentional ways that I was placing expectation to be disappointed based on what I was doing with my life. It's like, just because I'm growing and healing and developing deeper insight does not mean that other people in my system are doing that. And it creates a lot of like distance and division. So now it's like part of the healing is realizing who they are and being present in those capacities, as opposed to like constantly hoping that something new is going to develop into more meaning and connection. Because if I have that expectation, I'm just walling myself off to what is there. And when I started to do that, I started to realize, oh, there is stuff there. Like, it's not, if I have all these like overzealous expectations, I create this narration that they're evil and awful and like toxic. But if I pull away from that and I look at what actually is, as opposed to how it was or how bad it was, like how are we as adults? Because that's it's not like a parent-child relationship. Like, it's manageable. I would pick these adult relationships over a lot of other family system adult relationships. So it's been nice to like have a different conceptualization of that as I've aged.
Yeah, I'm still like, I mean, I don't know if that ever ends, but I'm still, doing that, right?
Oh yeah,
growing out of that, and then
it's definitely never ending.
seeing my parents, seeing my family, mostly my parents, but like, my sister, my brother to some lesser extent, as the people they like, who they actually are. And then it is interesting that it makes after the like initial struggle and disappointment and the grief and the anger and all that, that actually like, you start to enjoy them more. Like, if there's something if there's something likable about them, and most people there is, that you're like, oh, like, you can just enjoy being around them more. And then
for sure,
yeah, when you're able to let go of those expectations, because then they're always a disappointment to you, and then you don't get to appreciate the things that they do actually have to give, or you start to see like the connection you do actually have, and like just like the places that you've like always connected with them.
Yeah.
Which just weren't like enough for you when you were just disappointed with all the other things you didn't get. But then you're like, oh, like there's this like small, nice little moment here. And then that moment just kind of, it kind of grows and gets bigger and bigger and bigger because they start to relax around you more. It's this whole like unconscious thing that like they don't even notice, but like you notice, right? Is that they'll become a little bit more relaxed around you, smile a little bit more, that they really start like unconsciously responding to your presence with them. There's a little more warmth. It's really funny. It entertains me when I watch it like happen, and when I can like watch real time someone responding to me, and I can watch them like minutely just relax a little bit more, and I can see that they become a little bit happier. And if you ask them, they would have no idea. They wouldn't even notice it at all because it's like subtle.
So I think it's a form of co-regulation.
It is. They can feel that you're not, they know that you're not rejecting them.
Like walled off, calloused, angsty.
Yeah, they can sense that you're...
Like my angsty teenage self isn't in the room.
Yeah. They can sense that you're like open, that you're available.
Well, and we cannot get everything we want or need from one person.
Yeah.
And that's the trap of being a parent, is the child is expecting to get everything that they need and want from you. So when you add actual trauma into it, you're really fucked. But like you could not add any kind of trauma to a child, and they're still going to have some kind of subjective experience and like emotional wound memory that you're going to be a fucking awful person in that story.
And sometimes
you like leave them at the park for 5 minutes accidentally because you have 4 other kids.
Yeah.
And I had a client that we had to process.
Or like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's a little longer.
It's longer, but it's conceivable that like a good parent could do that. Mm-hmm. Totally conceivable.
Yeah. Well, we're at 2 hours. Guess we could call it. We could definitely do it again sometime. I'm pretty free. I'm working a little bit more than usual, but I don't ever work Fridays.
Me neither, but I work Saturdays and Sundays.
Nice. Oh, damn.
Because I do intensives. So yeah. I have one on Sunday. And then Saturday, tomorrow, I'm redoing my office. This is my home. My office. I'm going to assemble furniture, and there's furniture delivery, and then I have to paint it next week. Going to be putting things together. So
cool. Well, within the next coming weeks, I was trying to think of best approach, but I guess I'll send you some reels and stuff that you can post if you want.
Cool.
I'll tag you on all that too.
I need those because when I created my Instagram account, I committed to 90 posts in 90 days, and I'm feeling the pain.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. I'm more than a month in, and I kept to my rhythm for like the first like 30-ish days, and now I've skipped like multiple days this week. And I know that if I'm going to finish out and like meet my commitment, that it means I'm going to be like double posting on some days. And it means I need to get back on the horse. But so please send me a bunch of reels, and you're going to help me meet my self-assigned quota. And so I can just double.
Well, hey, now you have even more content to talk about. You can talk about how fucking weird I am.
I just
met this dude for his podcast, and like, I ended up talking about my childhood trauma after an hour and a half.
Dude, send me like as many reels as you want to. I don't care how shitty they look. You don't have to put any effort in. I just need to like meet my commitment to myself so that I can be like, I did that because I said I was going to do it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I'll do it. And then we can, anytime you want to come back on.
Sounds good.
More than welcome. And if you know anyone else that would be interested.
Yeah, I'll think of someone. Maybe there's some people I could refer to you. Do you think you got something entertaining or useful?
Yeah, probably. I'll have to look through it, and we'll find something.
Cool.
I can edit stuff. Like I could even edit, 30 minutes down to 30 seconds. And
Yeah. You can just take one of the clips of me saying, fuck, and then
just keep repeating that over and over again.
Fuck.
Yeah.
To like a techno track. Yeah. And in this episode, therapists talk about their childhood trauma.
Yeah, I think that's every episode.
Just don't send it to my parents, please.
Yeah, right.
Not at that level. Cool. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, it was nice to talk more.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the couple of hours we spent together.
I did, for sure. Yeah.